ask you a hypothetical question?
Oh, dear, I don't like hypothetical questions.
Well, I don't think you're gonna like the real one either.
Do you have the papers?
Not yet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. I'm continuing with my 2018 Oscar Best Film coverage. Today I'm going to be talking about the film The Post. It's directed by Steven Spielberg, the man himself. Stars Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep as basically the two main characters. Meryl Streep plays Katharine Graham, this lady you see right here. She was the first lady to be the publisher of a major newspaper company, the Washington Post. And Tom Hanks plays like her editor-in-chief, Ben Bradley. So this movie could be called an autobiography, not really an autobiography, but a biography about the lady Katharine Graham. She takes over as the head of the Washington Post after her husband untimely death by suicide. Well, during this time that she took over, it was really a tough time for the country. We were going through Vietnam. Richard Nixon was the president. And for her herself, the company was going through some changes due to finances. They were going public and they were going to be up on the New York Stock Exchange for the first time instead of being a private company. So that caused some difficulty for her, inside the family. But she was faced with some difficult decisions, She wasn't really looking forward to being the head of no newspaper company. She was actually in the banking. So when she got to be the head of the Washington Post, she was faced with some difficult decisions right off the bat. The government was lying and covering up for a lot of things that were going on in the Vietnam War, and her editor-in-chief and some of his reporters got hold to some highly classified government documents that proved that the government had been lying for 4 straight presidents. They were lying. So it wasn't just Nixon, it was Kennedy and a couple of other ones before him. It's just 4 successive presidents knew that we didn't have a chance to win in Vietnam, and we lost a lot of soldiers over there for no reason. Even after they knew it was no point in fighting, nobody wanted to be the one to basically pull out of the war because they didn't want to make it seem like the United States lost the war on their watch. So basically every president kept sending troops over there to die for no reason because there was no chance of actually winning anything. It was nothing to win over there. And so they had the government documents that proved that. And it was a real tough decision because at this time, Richard Nixon, he literally shut down certain newspapers that were publishing stories he didn't like. He took the New York Times to court and actually got a judge to get them to stop printing stories. So it was a really tough decision for her, just basically coming into the company, and now you got to figure out how you're going to go public and be on the New York Stock Exchange, and at the same time, how are you going to publish this story right after Richard Nixon just showed you he don't mind taking certain newspaper companies to court and shutting them down. So what are you going to do? And at this point in time, I guess you could say she made a tough decision to run with the story anyway and risk getting taken to court and going to jail, and decided the public needed to know. They needed to see these documents and they needed to hear the truth. And in turn, that actually risked her deal with the banks and the stock exchange to make the company go public, and it actually risked her in being in contempt of court. But she did it anyway, and she basically brought everything to light. And instead of it hurting their company, and she did go to court over it, and she won her case, but it actually made the company more popular and more successful because it broke the story wide open. So in turn, she actually helped the country out a lot, and she ended up being a hero in this situation. And so that's basically the gist of this story and what the movie is about. The things I like about it is, of course, the acting. And you got Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks. I mean, come on. They have Sarah Paulson, Bradley Whitford, Brian Greenwood. They had several actors and actresses in here. It was a lot of little, hidden gems as far as the cast was related. Everybody put in a great performance. It wasn't nothing really based on like any cinematography or any landscapes or anything like that. It was basically inside of a newsroom. I think what they did with this movie was the pacing felt awesome because everything they did felt urgent, but the movie was really slow and about dialogue. but the fact that they were always in a hurry to do something and get a story out made the movie feel like it was going by faster than really what it was, because the movie's about 2 hours, and it don't feel like 2 hours though, because everything is always in a hurry, because you could be halfway done with a story, but if your competitor get it out right before you, then all your work is basically wasted. And I think it gave us a glimpse inside what it feels like to be a journalist, a reporter, how urgent everything is, and how sneaky people are, and how people call and leak. They really do leak stuff to the to the reporters. So I hear a lot of people saying fake news now and the leaks. Yes, there are leaks. People inside the government do leak to these reporters, and I think that this movie really highlights that. I think I would rate this movie overall a 7.5 out of 10. It's worth seeing if you like good acting, but if you're a person that's into really like action-packed movies and you don't like a lot of dialogue, then you probably wouldn't like this. But it is a great movie if you just like to kick back and watch something that's a little bit informative about our country's history and give you a glimpse inside journalism. If you have any intuition at all to want to be a journalist, this is a great movie, because it does motivate you to want to go out and, I don't know, find stories and look at the news in a complete different way. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. If you go check it out, let me know in the comment section if you do like it, or if you agree or disagree with anything I said. Don't forget to like and subscribe, y'all, and I'll catch your ass out there in the universe. Peace.
The Times has 7,000 pages detailing how the White House has been lying about the Vietnam War for 30 years. The way they lied, those days have to be over.